5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the oral argument was called for December 6th. They called two of my appeals. One was Glendora versus Ecock, who, along with Stephen Taman and Robert Callaghy and Laura McQuaid, believe that you shouldn't keep your word, that you give your word and then you don't keep it. That's the way to do things. So I argued these two cases, Glendora versus Ecock and Glendora versus Masterilli, before these three judges. I told you, McCabe and Rudolph and Littman. This is Sebastian Cat, who appeared upon the property, very, very hungry and very, very frightened. But now he has a home and he has a person. And he's a lap cat. And I argued before them, and all of my friends said that it was a superb oral argument and that it was a winner. And that was on December 6th, and on December 27th I received their so-called paper, and there's quite a few things wrong with it. So I excoriated them for something like 60 pages and pointed out to the world their crimes. Somehow or other they are a mob. I don't know which mob it is, but they are a mob, and you'd better do what the mob tells you to do. Before you go before a judge, that person in the black dress, his soul has been sold. His soul has been sold at least 20 times. There's nothing left there for you. You go before him innocently thinking that there's justice in America the beautiful, but it's gone. It's gone. It has vanished. And so I wrote this on February the 5th, but I withheld it. And the reason I withheld it is that I had another appeal before them, Glendora versus Charles F. Dolan and Cablevision Systems Corporation, on appeal from the Rye City Court, County of Westchester, State of New York, on appeal from Peter Lane. And I made the oral argument on that on February 14th in 14 inches of snow. Do you remember that? How we struggled to get down there and make the oral argument, and they actually showed up, and give them credit for that. And I didn't want to submit this excoriation, nor the excoriation about the Ecock case and Toman and Phillipstown, nor the excoriation of John M. Voach and the Harrison Town Court. I held back those three papers. They were written, they were ready to serve. But I held them back until I got the decision from the Rye Court. The decision for the Rye Court came in Saturday, a few days ago. It was just as bad as all of the other decisions. And so now there is no hope. It's over. 4 cases. They have taken from me $3,000 the Harrison Court, $3,000 the Phillipstown Court, $5,000 the White Plains Court, and $3,000 the Rye City Court. What's that up to? 9 and 5, $14,000. They're doing fine, aren't they? They're doing fine, aren't they? Stealing the public's money. Stealing the public's money as far as these awards in the court go. Stealing the public's money as far as their, I think it's $130,000 or $140,000 a year of your taxpayer money. And stupid law clerks and crooked law clerks, the ghostwriters, who get $70,000 a year. And so today we serve on all of these crooks. this 62-page paper. And I read you the names of those people last night. So this was written on February the 5th, 2007, and being read to you on March the 14th, 1 month from Valentine's Day and 1 month from the oral argument about the Rye City Court case. The appellate term, the 9th and 10th Judicial Districts, the Supreme Court, the State of New York, Supreme. It's a nether court. It's a nadir court. State of New York, United States of America, Internet. And it's still on appeal from the White Plains City Court, County of Westchester. And this number is 2006 for the year 2006, 378. Well, this is Glendora's notice of motion, and affirmation in support for relief from the bogus paper of December the 27th, 2006. And it's pursuant to the New York State analog to Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, Rule 60B, which is relief from order. But the stuff that they put out is not an order. You want to know why it isn't an order? It isn't an order because it isn't signed. It isn't signed by a judge, let alone 3 judges. This is an appeals court. Well, the movement is Glendora, and the return date is April the 19th, 2007, Patriots Day. Paul Revere, Concord and Lexington. The British are coming. Who said the British are not coming? Paul Reverse. Any reply papers must be postmarked no later than March the 28th, 2007. That would be 2 weeks from today, folks. Which is standard. The location is the appellate term at 141 Livingston Street, the 15th floor, Brooklyn, New York, 11201, and their telephone number is 347-401-9580. The relief requested is stated in the title. The grounds are the 4 pages of December the 27th are a nullity because no signature by judges. The case has not been determined nor pronounced judicially. The papers are all dictum and state no law. It is consumer fraud, and there's no statute of limitations on fraud. And the first bad actor was Cecilia Masterilli, then Tybat Salako, then Officer Lewis of the Peekskill Police Department, then Walter A. Sarrock, lawyer for hire, and Sadly Stevens Burke and Burke, lawyer for hire law firm, and next came Rudolph, McCabe, and Littman, and the worst of them all, and 2 ghostwriters. The legal basis is stated in the title, Rule 60B, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. The supporting papers are Glendora's record on appeal, her appellant's brief, that's actually an appellee's brief, that's an error, and reply brief. That's an error too. An affidavit in support, affixed here too. These 60 pages were served on Walter Sarrock of Sadly Stevens, Burke and Burke, New York, 10169. His designated address. The service was by U.S. mail on blank date 2007 by Brad Sachs. See his affidavit. The appellate term is 10 years behind the federal court. The service has to be by a third party. And this is dated March the 13th, 2007. That's yesterday, the state of New York. Yours in truth. Amor Patria, love of one's country, and Amor New York, love of the state of New York. And it's without prejudice by the Uniform Commercial Code, Article 1, 207, Glendora. And this is Glendora on 53 TV stations, 530 municipalities, including Washington, D.C., and Albany, New York. And on the internet at www.achatwithglendora.com and on the internet at www.youtube.com/achatwithglendora, one word. And it is also fraud on our court system. It's a fraud on you, the public. It's a fraud on me, the plaintiff appellee. It's a fraud on the courts. And if you have a problem here, look to go into the file. There's a printing error. Worse than that, folks. Bear with me. We will have to go in the drawer. I'm in desk 4. In the bottom left drawer. And get out a Huda Sue copy. That was a printing error. Well, here is Sarok's notice of entry, and there's a few things wrong with that. It says Supreme Court of the State of New York, and Glendora says hardly. And it says Glendora respondeth. That's wrong. It's plaintiff appellee. And it says Cecilia Masterilli, and they left out no, that's okay, but what did they sue? They didn't call them what they are, defendants, appellants. And it's a notice of entry, and there's no proof of entry. And Sarok, a liar for hire, says, please take notice that the annexed decision was entered in the office of the City Court of White Plains on December 14, 2006. Well, there's no proof of entry, and he dated it New York, December the 28th, 3 days after Christmas. And this is a Park Avenue lawyer who grovels for $5,000. Sadly, Stevens, Burke, and Burke. And how can anything be straight in a mind that produces this kind of thing called a signature? And then they say that they're attorneys for the appellant Cecilia Masterilli, but they never proved it. They really aren't. This is a big lie. They are not the attorneys for Cecilia Masterilli. They never proved it. Now comes the order of these 3 crooked judgments, and you know who they are: McCabe, Littman, and Rudolph. There's quite a few things wrong with this. Kenneth W. Rudolph, so-called presiding justice. Edward G. McCabe from Nassau County, and Jonathan Littman, Chief Judge of the Court of Administration for New York Courts, County of New York. This was December 6th was the date of the oral argument. And they say it's Glendora against Cecilia Masterilli, appellant, and Tybat Salako, and they have that all wrong, and Officer Lewis, defendants. And the lower court number was 2005-1316. And look at the monetary payers are robbed for this rot, and it's nothing but rot, and it's all in the stilted language that belongs to the 16th century. And they say it's ordered and adjudged that the order is reversed with $10 cost, and the defendant Masteruli's motion to vacate a default judgment is granted. And that was so crooked. There was nobody, no way, anywhere who could have honestly reversed the order and made a vacatur. And the reason it is not a judge is that there's no signature. You had to rob a 78-year-old widow, Rudolph, McCabe, and Littman, that she so justly won, and it's adjure, not adjudged. It says repent, reform, and restitute. I'm talking to you, Rudolph, Littman, and McCabe. You've got a lot of repenting to do, and you've got a lot of reforming to do, and you've got a lot of restituting to do, and the only way you can do that is to leave this mob, whatever mob it is, in the court system, so-called. That's the only way you can do it. Your life is valueless. This is the only way you can save yourselves. And it says that Rudolph, McCabe, and Littman concur. And it's signed by April. It's not signed again. Okay, this is not a legal paper. There's no signature here. There's AA. Very, very crooked people. And I met her on February 14th when the snow prevented the people coming up from Brooklyn. But you got to give Tannenbaum credit. He came up from Suffolk. So it's not entered because there's no signature that it's entered. And it's all kid stuff, and it's not a grown-up legal paper. It is a nullity. Why? Because it wasn't signed. A paper is not an order until it's signed by a judge. Now let's face it, okay? It's just a blank. It's not signed by anybody. And Sally Stevens Burke and Burke, it says attorneys for the appellant Cecilia Masteruli. This is an out-and-out lie. He is not, and sadly is not, the attorneys for Cecilia Masteruli. They can't prove it. This has never been proven, and Glendora's 10 demands for Carmody weight proof of authority to represent were not provided. Sawrock failed 10 times, and this court, Rudolph, McCabe, and Angio Little committed with Crook Sawrock this sham upon all of us. But we know it's a sham, and I'm telling you it's a sham. So we're on page 3, and we're going to rejoice at 9:15. What are we going to rejoice about? Already the temperature is 40 degrees. Instead of being 30 degrees, or 20 degrees, or 10 degrees, or 1 below zero, today it's 40 degrees. Now we go into their order. Or, excuse me, it's not an order. It's a paper. It's not an order. The reason it's not an order is what? It wasn't signed by 3 judges. It says the Supreme Court of the State of New York, well, above Supreme, I write argued. And that Glendora is the plaintiff appellee, and that Cecilia Masteruli is the defendant appellant. And they cannot read. And it says present Rudolph, McCabe, and Littman, and Glendora says all failures. And it says it was decided on December the 27th, 2006, and Glendora says, no, it was decided before I even got to court. before they ever heard the oral argument, before they ever read the brief, and I don't think that they do read briefs, and I don't think they do read minutes that cost you $90 and all that, or a whole lot more. It wasn't decided on December 27th, 21 days after the oral argument. It was decided before I even got to court. Now, they say appeal from an order of the City Court of White Plains, Westchester County, Eric Press, entered December 14, 2005, period. This is an incomplete sentence. It is illiterate. It has no verb. You're not only dealing with people illiterate in the law, but illiterate in plain English construction, which you should learn in the 10th grade. The order denied defendant Masterilli's motion to vacate a default judgment. Why did it? So they get an E. For an incomplete sentence, automatically they get an E. Now the order reversed with $10 cost and defendant Masterilli's motion to vacate a default judgment granted. Illiterate. No verb. Illiterate. Legally. No law, no basis. In the small claims action, sounding in tortious interference with contract, defendant Masterilli articulated a reasonable excuse for her failure to appear for trial in. It was not a tortious interference, folks. They lied. It was damages. Cecilia Masterilli caused me damages by making me go out and get new signers whom she chased away, along with Christine Savarino. Where was the medical report that Cecilia gave a reasonable excuse? You just have to lie. You have to be a liar, Kenneth Rudolph. You have to be a liar, Edward McCabe. You have to be a liar, Jonathan Littman. And you have to be a liar, you ghostwriter law clerks, getting $70,000 a year of taxpayer money. There was no medical proof. And you lie and lie and lie again. Empty space, empty response, empty heads, and empty hearts. They left out a defendant. Jill DeCrenza. They completely left out Jill DeCrenza. The minimum that you can expect of a judge, yea, 3 judges, is that they can read. This matter, says this ghostwriter, and a meritorious defense to the action. There was no meritorious defense. Sarok claimed that Cecilia didn't go to court because Christine Savarino told Cecilia that Cablevision would defend her. Where's the proof of that? This was hearsay on hearsay. It's hearsay that Cecilia said that Christine said that Cablevision would defend her. It's hearsay that Sarok said that Cecilia said that Christine said. It's hearsay that Sarok said to the White Plains Court, and it's hearsay that Sarok said it to the appeals court. This is how you adjudicate, you dummies. I'm talking to you, McCabe, Rudolph, and Littman. This is how you adjudicate? Did you swear any witnesses? Did you hear any testimony? Did anybody testify under penalty of perjury? This is how you run a court? It's all hearsay. And it's your 10th lie. And Cecilia said she had a meritorious defense because she was in the hospital. Not one piece of medical evidence was ever produced in the White Plains City Court, and hence in the appellate term. You have totally failed Rudolph, McCabe, and Littman. You've totally failed as judges. Hearsay upon hearsay upon hearsay upon hearsay. 4 of them. The court below improvidently exercised its discretion in designating her second motion to vacate the default as being for renewal pursuant to Civil Practice Laws and Rules 2221E, and denying a defendant and denying it. That's a whole lot of dictum. Press denied it, and Press denied it because Sarok went out and asked for the same relief twice. And you're never supposed to do that, and a Park Avenue lawyer should know that. You do not ask the court for the same relief twice. I don't know. You look so foolish, McCabe, Rudolph, and Littman. You just look so foolish. In front of everybody, you just make fools of yourselves, of your county, of your state, and of your nation. You just make fools of yourself in front of the whole world on the internet, in front of all these TV audiences. Now, they had told 10 lies, and we're only up to page 5. Now, she, Cecilia Masterilli, made no motion at all. It was made by a cheap liar for hire named Sarah. And this is your 11th lie. And you really have made a fool of yourselves. The defendant, that would be Cecilia Masterilli, herein was not, and Glendora stops him right there and says, you look at the law, then you connive how to get around it. They don't look at the law to obey the law. They do not look at the law to enforce the law. They look at the law how they can get around it. They're a mob. I don't know which mob it is, but they are a mob. And you'd better do what the mob tells you to do. And whatever lying that you have to do, whatever disgrace you have to stoop to, you go ahead and do it. Says Glendora, you look at the law, then you connive how to get around it. Studying law to you, quote unquote, is studying how to circumvent it. Your 12th lie is that Sarah never mentioned, never complied with renewal, which you just quoted. They just quoted renewal CPLR 2221E. But he never complied with that. He never said this is a motion for renewal. He asked the court twice for the same relief. And you ought to straighten up and know that is verboten. And you should know that. And you are deliberately, knowingly, and willfully lying, and the lower court knows more than you do. Epsilon. As to your odious page 2, what does SM-2 mean? And this ghostwriter says, attempting in her second motion to affect the prior order, CPLR 2221A, denying her first motion to vacate, which sought, pursuant to CPLR Civil Practice Law and Rules 5016A4, to vacate the default and dismiss the action on jurisdictional grounds. You lie. Yes, McCabe, you lie. Yes, Rudolph, you lie. And yes, Chief Judge of the Administration of the New York State Courts, Jonathan Lippman, you lie. That's your record before the public. You are completely sold. You are sold souls.